General Grievous was the cybernetic leader of the droid army, and his death on Utapau set in motion a series of events that would result in the founding of the Galactic Empire. But what would have happened if Grievous survived and became a rebel against the Imperial regime? Now, for this theory, we're going to say when Obi-Wan defeats Grievous, he isn't totally killed. Perhaps his brain and other organs are somehow salvaged from the body by a small force loyal to Grievous, possibly one of his personal medical droids. He is then taken from Utapau as Order 66 occurs. The destroyed body of Grievous is discovered by the clones, who report him as dead. Meanwhile, the droid who saved Grievous takes him to a remote lab and reconstructs his body. By the time he's conscious again, the Empire has taken power and the CIS's droid army is shut down. Grievous has lost everything: his fleets, his armies. The people who once feared and respected him are now either dead or they serve another. Grievous is a warrior, and Darth Sidious, this new emperor, had deceived him, and Grievous is naturally gonna want revenge. Now, he may often be rash, but he isn't an idiot, and he knows after fighting alongside Sidious to stop the Shadow Collective that he can't kill him in one-on-one combat. It would be a death sentence. For this reason, I believe he would bide his time and act similarly to how Darth Maul did. Grievous was a general, and he needs an army and resources. Him fighting a one-man war would be doomed to fail, and with most of the CIS worlds now firmly under the heel of the Empire, he would have to turn to the criminal underworld. I believe that he'd travel to the deep outer rim, away from prying Imperial eyes, and he would begin to usurp pirate clans, likely killing their leaders or forcing their fealty. From here, he would raid transports and small remote colonies for resources and new bodies to conscript into his slowly growing militia. Now, the biggest problem Grievous would have would be keeping his army loyal. Unlike Darth Maul, Grievous isn't very materialistic. He wouldn't have plans of riches and grandeur. Instead, he would be solely focused on revenge. And most in his ranks would not care about such things. Therefore, Grievous would be forced to rule through fear alone. Now, building his army would take a long time, but if we assume Grievous could be patient, which isn't entirely likely, we're going to say that about 15 years after his presumed death, he has a considerable gathering of criminals, pirates and smugglers, etc. He may also have a few droids backing him up, if he was able to take control of some of the secret CIS holdouts without alerting the Empire, as many of them did have droid foundries. From here, Grievous hears of the newly formed Rebel Alliance, and decides that their assistance will be necessary in taking revenge out on Sidious. Now, I believe that he'd offer his forces to the rebellion, and together they'd work to bring down the Imperials. But realistically, if the rebellion did want anything to do with Grievous is questionable, considering his history as a war criminal. But for the fun of the theory, we'll say that they choose to ally up with the Kaleesh. And this would be something that many in the rebellion would soon regret. You see, Grievous doesn't really care about the galaxy. He wouldn't want to rebuild the Republic at all, but nor the CIS. He wasn't really even a separatist, he was just someone who hated the enemies of the separatists. He doesn't want to build anything, just tear down what's there at the moment. Confident with the scale of their combined forces and incredibly impatient after waiting for more than a decade, Grievous would push for an attack. However, the difference between Grievous and most in the rebellion is that Grievous wants revenge, and he has no comprehension of innocence. Those who aren't with him are against him. For this reason, I'm going to say that Grievous convinces some of the more radical factions in the rebellion to his side, possibly Saw Gerrera's partisans, and here they plan an attack to make the Empire bleed, to show the galaxy that they are strong and Sidious is weak. Now, they could do this in a variety of ways, for example attempting to assassinate Sidious and other high-level senators and moffs, but it would probably end badly for them. Now, they could go after the Imperial military, attacking shipyards, academies, etc. However, these were often far too well defended, and the Empire would quickly be able to replace the fallen. Ultimately, the issue is that the Imperials had far more men and resources to sacrifice than Grievous and his Rebel Alliance allies ever would. For this reason, my guess is that they would do something far crueler and more evil. They would attack innocents. They would make an example of those who were loyal to Sidious. In a way, it would be using the Empire's tactics against them. Now, what I believe they'd do is they'd select a loyal Imperial world, one that symbolised all of the Empire's ideals, however didn't hold any strategic significance. For example, Naboo. The Emperor's homeworld, tranquil and calm, located in the Mid-Rim, it was wealthy and only bolstered a medium military presence. And it was filled with countless subjects who owed all their prosperity to Sidious and his empire. So Grievous is going to want to show the galaxy the cost for siding with the Imperials. I'm going to say Grievous, his pirates and his allies in the rebellion used their vast criminal network to smuggle themselves onto Naboo. From here, they sack the world. Cities such as Feed would be burned, every Imperial would be killed on sight, civilians would be executed, used as hostages, or sold as slaves by their pirate allies as rewards for their loyalty. The world would be totally ravaged, and the galaxy would see the Emperor's own homeworld laid waste by the Kaleesh he claimed to be defeated over a decade ago. Ultimately, it would make the Empire look weak, and it would make people fear the price for siding with them. It sends the message that to ally with the Empire would make them a target for these marauders. Now, in my opinion, this ends in one of two ways. Either one, the Empire would dispatch troops and likely Vader to Naboo, they would blockade the world and block all communication to minimise damage control. And the Imperials would likely kill every one of the invaders, or just everyone in the world in general, including Grievous. Now, realistically, despite Grievous's prowess in battle, against an agent of hatred like Vader, I don't believe that he would survive. Or two, Grievous and his marauders manage to sack the world and escape before Imperial reinforcements arrive. From here, Grievous returns to Rebel Command and kills the other leaders as well as anyone else who doesn't agree with these new barbaric tactics. Grievous is now the de facto leader of the rebellion, and he'd start using these terror tactics far more regularly. However, I don't believe that this could last. Compared to the numerous atrocities Grievous's rebellion would be carrying out, the Imperials would look like saviours. Ultimately, without the support of the people, the rebellion would just collapse in on itself. Grievous and his loyalists would inevitably be tracked down and brought to Imperial justice. Meanwhile, with no major rebellion movement left, the Empire would continue to rule far longer than it did in our timeline, and people would be far more grateful for the protection and far more understanding of their strict rules and regulations. Ultimately, Sidious would be seen as a saviour again. But what do you think would happen if Grievous survived? Do you think that he would fail, or do you think that he could turn it round and become a symbol of hope for the galaxy? Now, I do hope that you enjoyed. If so, please remember to like, sub and share, as it helps the channel grow and is always really appreciated. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @TheLoreGuy for regular updates. Thank you for watching, I really hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.